Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the African Reform Movement channel, where we discuss everything to do with African reform with an emphasis on Ghana. For those of you who are joining us here for the first time, welcome. Very pleased to have you. My name is Uche, and as ever, we have our distinguished speaker, Dr. Nii who will talk us through the topic today. But before we get there, if you're new, just a few things here. Dr. Nii is on a number of different social media platforms, which you can see at the bottom of your screen there. If you don't have time to take all of these down, please don't worry. I've put all of these in the description box so you can make note from there. Also, if you are going to follow us on YouTube, please make sure you do subscribe, but also hit the notification bell so that every time we post anything up to do with what we're doing on this channel, you'll be notified. And you can also set yourself a reminder. Please ensure, if you're watching, that you send all questions that you have for Dr. Nii during this particular episode. Dr. Nii is a very busy person, and if we don't get the questions whilst he's on screen online now, they will not be answered later on. So any questions you have, please send them through to us as we are online. Dr. Nii has written a number of books. They can all be purchased at his Book Nook store, at that information at the bottom there. This is also in the description box. If you don't catch it now, don't worry. You'll be able to look on his YouTube channel and find it there. Dr. Nii also has a website called sankofaafrica.com, where he posts a lot of in-depth articles there, so you can have a read and really kind of understand in your own time how Dr. Nii thinks and why he feels the way he feels, because there's a lot of information research there. So please take use of that resource. So without any further ado, we're going to go ahead and speak about today's topic. We are speaking about the cabinet governing Ghana, a multi-ethnic and underdeveloped nation under Afremocracy. So Dr. Nii,
that's right.
Over to you. Tell us exactly what that looks like.
All right, good. Thank you very much, Uche. Before I would go into the topic for today, I just want to announce for everybody that I had a very bad news 30 minutes ago. Now, one of my very, very good friends and a cousin actually, and a surgeon in Ghana, we went to class 1 together, went to medical school together. He's just passed on. So may he so rest in peace. His name is James Nino Donko. All right, so now we are back to Afremocracy and the cabinet and governing a country like Ghana. Ghana has only 2 problems as far as I'm concerned. And the problems are, 1, our multi-ethnic configuration, and 2, our underdevelopment. Those in my generation tend to forget that the Ghana we have is a patchwork put in place by British imperialism. Okay, before the British colonized, there was nothing like Ghana. We were independent kingdoms living on the same space as Ghana now. But the political union, the colony, the states which came out from these independent kingdoms was actually put together by the crown. Now, it's not been easy. Not in Ghana, not in any part of the world. We all know what happened in Yugoslavia. Tito brought them together. After Tito's death, everything went southwards. So bringing people together is not easy. And it must be a conscious effort on the part of whoever has power to try and make it tighter and stronger every single day. It must be a deliberate policy to merge the people completely. And that is what has not happened in Ghana and probably almost every state in Africa. And it's part of our fundamental problem because we waste so much national capital on ethnic and tribal issues when those energies should have gone to other areas. Today, we are going to look at how we can craft a cabinet that will try and solve that problem, because what we need is inclusivity. Can we please have the first slide? All right, the cabinet governing Ghana, a multi-ethnic and an underdeveloped nation. Next slide, please. All right, so now to do this crafting, we have to, so we already have a cabinet system in place, but we are talking of a new cabinet that will be geared towards solving these two fundamental problems: the ethnicity issue and the underdevelopmental issue. Now, to do that, we have to build a philosophy for the cabinet. Why it exists at all? Eligibility, who can get into the cabinet? Because you see, we have a situation where we got to decide that leadership is not for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
All right, it's not. So we have to decide who will be a leader, who can be in the cabinet, and it must be quite clear who cannot be in the cabinet as well. Then, of course, we look at architecture, composition. Then we look at examples, what we are talking about. Next slide, please. Okay, philosophy. The philosophy is to develop a framework to solve our two key problems: multi-ethnicity and underdevelopment. Now, to fix underdevelopment, you have to understand development. Okay, so now once you know that development is not about borrowing money to build roads and mansions and things like that, then you ask, so what is development? Then I will tell you that it's a mental capacity that allows people to be able to tame the environment. Tame the environment and earn their living from the environment. Okay, so those nations that have been able to do that, we call them developed nations. Now we have business people going to moon or going to the space because they've conquered gravity, they've conquered nature. Basically, we have ships floating on the sea, we have cars, all sort of things. Now, all these things are overcoming nature, like it said in Genesis 1:28, be fruitful, multiply, replenish, and subdue the earth. Now, after that, it says that, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the air, and over everything that walks or creeps on the earth. So basically, once you're able to subdue the earth, then you're able to have dominion. Now, those who have subdued the earth and nature, they are the dominating ones, and those who have not done that, they are the ones being dominated. All right. So now, once you talk about development, you know they're talking about mental capacity, and that means that we have to have a system where meritocracy will be key. We have to find a way also of building capacity, and not only that, we also have to find a way of capacity convergence. How do we bring the capacity we have in the system together in one place? Now, you got to think about all these things when you're trying to fashion a cabinet for an underdeveloped nation. And that's what what's his name? Lee Kuan Yew did in a certain way. All right, next slide. So the philosophy...
Before we move on, Dr. Nii, when you say multi-ethnicity, what is it you're specifically referring to, and why is it a problem?
It's a problem because of jostling between different ethnic groups, like in Ghana or like in Nigeria, between Igbos and Yorubas and Hausas. Everybody is trying to fight to occupy probably what is more, try and get more than what is due them, and trying to marginalize others. Okay, so the multi-ethnicity, which could be a strength, in our case, is going to be a weakness.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So we have to have a system that will try and turn it around into a strength, not a weakness. Okay. Now, when you take things for granted, that's when we have civil wars. When you think, oh, no, yeah, it doesn't matter. Of course, it matters because people will feel marginalized and they will react.
Okay.
Yeah. Right, next slide. Good. Eligibility. We spoke about it a short. Okay. So now, leadership is not for everybody. See, people think that democracy means participation. Everybody should participate, but not everybody will lead. Okay. In a team of 11 football players, not everybody is a captain. There's only one captain. All right. So you can play as a player, but not everybody. And because we do not have that system in place, in Ghana, people who even think that the world is still flat can decide that they want to be president. Or they want to go to parliament. I mean, people, it can be all you need to do is to be a Ghanaian by birth and be more than 40 years. You can stand for presidency. So people who believe that, oh no, the world is square, or the earth is square. Well, who doesn't know anything apart from his name or a name can decide to go. And there's something that stops up everything from crowding and congesting the space. We have to have a selection criteria. Now, there are two examples of that. In Exodus 18:21, when Moses was in the wilderness, very much like Ghana, Egypt is newly decolonized, newly independent. They were in the wilderness going to the promised land. And Moses' father-in-law, Jethro, and Jethro was an African, was a Median, an African, a Cushite group. He went to see Moses in the wilderness, and when he went there, Moses was sitting there alone, and everybody was coming to him with their problems. So from morning to night, Moses alone was solving the problem of everybody. Then father-in-law said, "No, Moses, what you are doing is not good. You kill yourself, and this is what with you. This is not the way to run a nation." So Moses was a typical African dictator, typical African Santa president. He had all the power alone. All himself. And the man of God, the man who saw the face of God, didn't know what to do. He had to take a priest from Midian to come and address it. No, this is not the way to do it. They say, "I'll give you advice and confer with your God. If he agrees, then you take my advice." They say, "You know what? You are going to stand before God and get all the information. And this is the way you go about it. You teach people your rules and your regulations. Basically, write a constitution. Make a constitution about what to do, what not to do, where to go. And then you select men, honorable men, men who are fear God, men who are intelligent, men who are not after money, men who have good report among the people. Select such men and place them over tens, 50s, hundreds, and thousands." So he said, you cannot do it. And then they will solve all the small problems, and then they bring their big problems to you. And with that, you can handle the burden. But this way you are going, it's not sustainable. All right. So 3,500 years ago, an African, told the man of God, the greatest prophet of Israel, that you have to have a constitution. And the constitution, you also have to have hierarchy of authority. Basically, you have to have proportional representation. 10 people can have one leader, 50 people, 100 people, but not that one leader has 10,000 and that leader has 50. No. Arrange the people in this order. So you place there over 10s, over 50s, of course, based on capacity. Okay, over hundreds and over thousands. So before Plato came with the Republic, an African has already written a constitution. But people don't know this. People don't know that Jethro was the person who set up the government system for Israel. And Israel was royal. But Jethro means Your Excellency. He was the first person in recorded history to be called Your Excellency. That was the title the Jews gave him, because they saw that this man was a different thing altogether.
Yeah.
All right. So he gave Moses the selection criteria that if you want leaders if you want members of parliament, set leader for constituencies, for districts, for regions, and then you and Joshua and Aaron and then Aaron and the rest, you are the national level. You can be the national cabinet. Okay, so you'll be there, but have leaders for your districts, your constituencies, your regions in that number, in that equal numbers and probably equal capacities. So we have that one. Then also in Timothy, 1 Timothy 3:1-7, Paul was writing to Timothy. Timothy was the bishop Timothy was the pastor in Ephesus, if I remember. And he was telling him that if someone desires to be a bishop, it's a good thing. But the bishop must be this, the bishop must be that, he must be a husband of one wife, he must not be a drunkard, he must be very intelligent, he must be able to teach, a whole list of things that people need to have before they can be a bishop. Leadership is not for everybody. Leadership is not for everybody. And from these two things, we can select what we call essential criteria and then desirable criteria. Now, I'm just setting a format. When it comes to this, we have to have a whole body or an electoral, what do you call them, college, to determine exactly what should go where. Okay, I'm not going to write every that should happen in this regard, because people come with ideas. No, this is okay. No, this is not all right. But the principle is that not everybody can be a leader. And if you want meritocracy, then you have to have a selection. And exactly that's what Jethro advised Moses, and that's what Paul also instructed Timothy to do. Eligibility is very important because we are trying to create a cabinet that will solve problems, not cabinet for friends and family, which is a common thing in Africa. All right, next slide. Architecture and hierarchy. So the architecture here is that we have the president, and we have the prime minister, and then we have 25 ministers. Now, these 25 ministers, 5 of them, I'll come to that. 5 of them will be senior ministers, and 20 will be sector ministers. We understand what exactly that means. The hierarchy is that if the president is not around, the prime minister takes over. If the prime minister is not around, the senior ministers, one of the senior ministers take over. Executive power must not be transferred to the legislature. It is an absolute it's an absolute disaster that a speaker of parliament will be acting as president. I don't think it happens anywhere, not even in Australia, which is parliamentary. If the prime minister is not here, the deputy prime minister takes over. If he is not here, another senior minister takes over. The speaker of parliament never ever acts as prime minister.
That's correct.
In Ghana, that's what happens. And sometimes, or most times, the speaker himself is appointed by the president. So there is no separation whatsoever. Now, in separation of powers, that should never happen. So the hierarchy is the president, the prime minister, the senior ministers, and ministers. Now, we are talking of maximum of 25 ministers. Now, within this group, we have what you call the Policy Executive Committee, which is like the board of directors, and that's made up of the president, the prime minister, and the 5 senior ministers. It's a 7-member board, and that's where policies are made. And we have the Management Executive Committee, made up of, headed by the prime minister and the 25 ministers. Okay, so that's like the executive. So the prime minister is like the chief executive officer, and the president is like the chairman of the board. Okay, now I want to raise something. Mind you, we are talking of Afremocracy, okay? Cabinet and the Afremocracy, that is democracy brewed in African ports. Where did you first hear of a concept of a president and a prime minister? Let's turn to Genesis chapter 41. Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, "Inasmuch as God has shown you all this, there is no one as discerning and wise as you. You shall be over my house, and all my people shall be ruled according to your word. Only in regard to the throne will I be greater than you." Only in regard to the throne will I be greater than you. And Pharaoh said to Joseph, "See, I have set you over all the land of Egypt, but only regarding the throne, that he will be greater than him." That is, the throne, the commander-in-chief, the head of state, he is the only one, only that. But when it comes to day-to-day management, is all the business of Joseph. So the first prime minister in recorded history occurred here on our continent. So when we are talking of democracy in African port, we have to look at what has happened in Africa before. That was successful. Okay. Now, Ghana decided to go and copy America with the vice president who has no portfolio, who has no authority, who only works, and that's what the president tells him to do. But here, you see that it was the Pharaoh who actually appointed the prime minister. It was the Pharaoh who appointed Joseph, and he gave him the authority to be in charge over his house and the whole of Egypt. except one thing. It's only one thing that he is ahead of him. If he's not there, he will take over. But as long as he leaves, that thing is him and his. So that is the throne. That's the head of state. But he was made the head of government by the head of state. And that's what happens here. The president is elected president, and the prime minister and the rest of the cabinet will be appointed by the president. Okay. Now, the whole idea is for policies to be made largely by the president, but the prime minister will see to its implementation. All right, good. Next slide.
Sorry, what's MX Exec.com? What's that?
Management Executive Committee.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the cabinet. Look, there was a similar thing under Rawlings, where we had the PNDC, and then we had the committee of secretaries. Rawlings was the head of the PNDC, so he was the president, and the head of chairman of committee of secretaries was P.V. Obeng, and he was the prime minister. And P.V. Obeng also was a member of the PNDC. So pretty much like I was saying before, that the prime minister is part of the policy executive committee headed by the president. But then he is the liaison officer between the general cabinet and this policy executive committee. All right. So we have a similar scenario in Ghana before, not exactly like what I'm saying, but very similar to it. The principle was the same. All right.
Okay.
Next slide.
Okay.
Composition. Perfect. Now here, our constitution, knowing that we are multi-ethnic, decided to put in a word for balance to make sure that groups are not marginalized. So Article 35, Clause 6b says that there should be reasonable government. The state should make appropriate measures to ensure that there's reasonable regional and gender balance. Okay, but it doesn't work because it's too discretionary. We want a more prescriptive system that will not give much room for fooling, because you give an African power and it tends everything over on his head. Not too long ago, the president appointed, I think, 260 or so district and municipal and metropolitan chief executives. Out of the 260, I think 38 or something are female.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. So about 15%, and that is completely unconstitutional. But who cares? Nobody challenges it. But it's clearly unconstitutional. So we have to look at these things, and we have to make sure that they are prescribed. And when I say prescribed, I mean that the president will have some leeway, but not as it is now, because at the end of the day, we want to solve the problem of the negative of multi-ethnicity. And the only way we can do it is to try and get everybody involved. When you give a president in Ghana, the moment somebody becomes president, then all the intelligent people in the country will be from his tribe. That's what happens. All of a sudden, they will say, oh, yeah, but the person is competent. What do you mean? I mean, my great-grandfather had 35 children. And at our level, we are probably, maybe I had 500 or whatever second cousins. So I can form 3, 4, 5 cabinets from a family alone. But that's not the way to run the country. One of them has just died. I was just telling you. He's a surgeon in Ghana. He just died. Yeah, you just can't do it that way. So you got to put in measures to make sure that we do not abuse the power given to us. We need to have a prescriptive inclusivity mechanism. And the first one is that when you're looking at, I spoke about earlier on what we call capacity convergence. You want a system where if 3 parties contest, there must be a mechanism to bring the best of the 3 parties into government. That's what I call capacity, because we are talking of development. We are talking of defeating underdevelopment. And we know that not one single party may have all the best people in the country. It doesn't work like that. Okay, so we have to find a system that will be able to, that other people will be co-opted into government based on a rational method. Now, when we go to the Olympics, okay, and Usain Bolt goes to run at the Olympics, he wins the 100 meters. Now, there are three medals for the 100 meters: gold, silver, bronze. Now, Usain Bolt may win all, may lead them completely, will completely smash them, but it doesn't take home all the three medals.
That's right.
It's only one. And others take, somebody will take the silver, another person will take the bronze. So, and when it happens that you have to form a world team, you realize that the first, the second, the third, and the fourth will go the relay. And such a relay will do better than the Jamaican team relay alone. Because you are talking of the best four in the world forming the relay team. So the best four in the world from different countries will definitely do better than the best four from one country. All right. So now what we have now, the government we have now is the best four from one party. What a system where you have the best four from all the parties to form the government, to form the relay team. So we are learning from sports how to bring competence into one fold. Capacity convergence is one method of fighting underdevelopment, because we know that development is a matter of the mind. You want to get the best people on board. All right. So what we do is this. I call it the 80-20 split. You take 80% of the 25 cabinet positions, okay, which is 20. And say this 20 is for all the parties that contest. I mean, that would contest the elections. It means that if there are 20 positions to be shared among parties, any party that gets 5% gets one position. So if the party gets 10% of the vote, that party gets two positions. So let's say we have a classical scenario where there are three parties. The president's party gets 55. The next party gets 30, and the next party gets 15. So out of the 20, the president party will get 15. We're going to go 55. We'll go 11. We're going to go 55. The party that got 30 will get 6. We're going to go 30%. And the party that got 15 will get 3. So we have 11, 6, 3. So we have the person who won the gold medal got 11 seats for gold medal. The party that won the silver got 6, and the party that won the bronze got 3. They share the 20 seats. Now, then we have the 20%, which is the 5 seats. Now, the 5 seats goes to the president. Now, all the parties are represented in government, but the president now has got the freedom to appoint 5 more into cabinet. This can be from anywhere, or can be from his party, or can be whatever he wants to do. But at the base of it, the party's contribution or the party's shares have been fulfilled. Every party is represented in government. Now, the same thing goes to the regions. We have the same 20-80 split. Any region that gets 5% will get 1 ministerial position. So if a region gets 10% of the vote, it gets 2. And we feel it like that. So that there will be no region left behind. In Ghana, our regions are co-terminals with our ethnicity. So when you say this region, you are talking of this ethnicity. And that's the way that you're not going to have a loose system to say that, regional balance with no numbers attached, and then it's grossly abused. You say that 80% of cabinet positions will be shared among regions.
Okay.
By way of their electoral votes. And once the regions have been they've been looked after, the 20% with the 5 seats is for the president. He can decide to bring it from anywhere he wants.
Okay.
So we're giving 80% to the regions, we give 20% to the, to the president. Now, you have to understand that in this particular scenario, the example I gave, the president will be appointing 16 out of the 25 ministers, 11 to his party and 5 to him. And the same way, this distribution across regions too, we also make sure that the other parties, they have their balanced regional representation in the cabinet. So basically, we share 80% of the seats across regions according to the number of people who voted in each region, and 20% is freelance to the president. Then gender, the ideal is 50-50, but the minimum is 60-40. So, for instance, if the prime minister is a female, then I would think that of the 25 ministers, 13 should be men and 12 should be women, so that the 26 is 13-13.
Okay, got it. Okay.
Yeah. But it doesn't matter. So far as it's reasonable, so far as it's not 20 men and 5 women or 20 women and 5 men, then there's a problem. But if it's 14 women and 11 men, 14 men and 11 women, within reason, something 40 to 60 to 40%, ratio, but nothing less than that. But the ideal will be 50-50. That's the plan. All right. Because we need to have regional and gender balance. Not in the way in the present constitution, because the present constitution doesn't give it an element. People can do what, like I told you, out of 260, I think only 38 or whatever are women, which is not fair when they form 51% of the population. All right, next slide. Oh, examples. Okay. You see, when you're talking of development, then you have to have a cabinet system that is geared towards development. And I'm using the examples here that we need a new economy. So we have a whole new economy, ministry, new economy, under which you have digital economy, small business, and deregulation. Okay? The new economy, the minister for the new economy is going to be responsible for digital economy, small business, and deregulation. And then we have law and order. Now, I'll just speak to here justice and constitutional affairs, immigration and home security. Okay, now the immigration and home security, for instance, the justice and constitutional affairs, they will be looking at the justice system, the minister there. Okay, and immigration and home security, police and prisons will be answering to home security. So you have to have a system that is geared, because we know that 3% of the wealth of a nation is in its natural resources. 17% of the wealth of the nation, I'm talking of the advanced, the developed world, okay? The developed world, only 3% of their wealth is natural resources. 70% is in their manufactured goods, and 80% is what you call intangible wealth.
Right.
Okay. Now, intangible wealth, 57% of intangible, 57 of the 8% of intangible wealth is law and is rule of law. Okay, and 36% of that is education. So 93% of intangible wealth is rule of law and education. So if you want to prosper, if you want to develop, then rule of law is cardinal. You have to have a cabinet system that is well equipped to create intangible wealth. Know what you are doing. Okay, then of course you need infrastructure, because that's the courier, that's what carries everything, and that forms part of the 70% of the manufactured goods. Infrastructure. So we have to have a minister of infrastructure. Like I've said before, personally, Me, I'll be responsible for education, youth, and sports. So I'll hold that portfolio if I'm president, because it's so important. It's so important for creation of intangible wealth, and it's so important for the youth, because education, youth, and sport are the only portfolios which are exclusively for the youth.
Right.
Only the youth go to school, only the youth involved in sports, I mean, largely, and only the youth, of course, is the youth. So I'll be in charge of education, youth, and sports completely. So in this case, we're going to have 24 ministers, not 25. I'll be in charge of that. And I think the prime minister should be in charge of infrastructure. I think so. I think the prime minister should be, because now, if he or she is in charge of infrastructure, then she supervises everything. Health infrastructure, transport infrastructure, as a prime minister. So I think the prime minister will be. So as we are talking now, we probably have only 23 ministers. Now, we are talking of developing a system to take us out of our underdeveloped state. Focus, pinpoint, and it starts with rule of law. Because 80% of the wealth of advanced countries, of developed countries, is rule of law and education. And you have to have the strongest people in those departments. Now, of course, once we have that, then we have the economy. We have to digitalize our economy. We have to make small business a different story altogether, because that's where the employment is. In Australia, 96% of all employers are small business. And the whole economy, 70% of the whole economy is small business. What I'm saying 70%? Is that only 4%, 70%.
Wow. That's a lot.
Yeah. So the small business is the engine of the economy. We can have the same in Ghana if we plan, you know what you are doing. Very easy. Very, very easy. So we need to have a minister focus on that, and of course, deregulation, because we need to take out red tape. Red tape builds corruption, and corruption affects efficiency. Because in Ghana, you don't put in red tape because you think you are checking anything, because nobody checks anything. People collect bribe and break the rule. And that goes against productivity and efficiency. So we need to deregulate. I'm talking about law and order, then infrastructure, and of course, the diaspora. You see, if we understand that colonization made the colonies the external arm of the economy of the colonial masters, then we understand that the diaspora can also be turned into the external arm of our economy, where the diasporans, they are already repatriating money to us, but the money they repatriate to us is consumption capital. We can convert that into investment capital, and then the dividend from the investment will now be consumed. I've written about all this, and it's under a big, broad banner. Reverse colonialism is the first step in economic emancipation. Okay, what I'm talking about is reverse colonialism, where we use our nationals in the former colonial territories as part of our economy. So we reverse it, and they'll bring the money to us. We invest the money and give the profit to their mothers and their girlfriends and their whatever to chop in Ghana. So the money comes to Ghana, we invest the money, and the dividends are also spent in Ghana to boost our economy. You got to think about all these things if you are thinking about coming out from underdevelopment.
Yeah.
Next slide.
Okay, this is the last slide, Dr. Nii.
Oh, is that so? Oh, this nice thing is over. All right. So now, there we go. So we have 5 super ministries. Now, when I say super ministry, what I mean is that we regroup the 25 ministries into five super ministries of related sector ministries. We regroup the 25 ministries into 5 super ministries of related portfolios. All right. So we have social services. For instance, social services is made up of health, education, youth and sports, aged care, mental health and special education, and then housing and water, and arts and culture. So these are big spenders, okay? This group is big spenders, no profit. It's just spending of money. Health, education, aged care, housing and water, and arts and culture. That's social services. And one of these 5 ministers will become the senior minister. So, for instance, the Minister of Health is the Minister of Health, but also the Senior Minister for Social Services. Now, with this structure, because they will all present their mini budget, they will streamline their activities. There's no duplication. Whether nursing school is under health or education, all will be sorted there. Whether medical school is under health or education, all because they are all under the same super ministry. So there's no duplication, streamlining, and saving of money. And then because they plan together, if one of them is away, one will deputize for the person. So there is no need for deputy ministers, not undermine government. All right. The next one is law and order. Law and order, we have the Attorney General, we have Justice and Constitutional Affairs, we have Defense, we have Immigration and Internal Security, and we have Chieftaincy and Civic Affairs. So these are the 5 ministries under 5 sector ministries under the law and order super ministry. And one of them will become the senior minister. It could be the Attorney General. It could be the senior minister for the group, because they're all related with law and order matters, you know. And when the Attorney General is not there, the Minister of Justice can act, or vice versa, because they're all working in the same super ministry. All right. The next one is the economy or economic management. Economic management, we have the treasurer, which you call in England the Chancellor of the Exchequer. Okay, we call in Ghana Minister of Finance, but I'll call it the treasurer. And then we have the Minister for the New Economy, or the Minister for Digital Economy, Small Business and Deregulation. Then we have Workplace Relations and Productivity, what they call labor and whatever somewhere else. Labor and what they call it in UK, labor and something. But we call it workplace relations and productivity, because the key here is productivity. And then the next one is diaspora affairs and tourism. Like I've said before, the diaspora is going to be part of our economy. It's the external arm of our economy. So the diaspora is going to be part of economic management team. All right. And then the final one is population and resource allocation. You need to know the number of people you are feeding. That's how you plan.
So is this integrated national development?
No. I'm saying that the 5th ministry and the economic management is population and resource allocation.
Got it.
Population and resource allocation. You need to know the number of people you are feeding. That's how you can plan. All right. We've never had that before, but I'm bringing this new ministry. And this is all part of the new features. The new Ministry of Population will do population census that nobody believes the figures. Nobody.
Right.
All right. So we're going to do that and do it properly, because it's different if you are feeding 5 people and you are feeding 7 people. The plan will be different. So it's very important. The allocation of resources will be different if one region is 1 million and another region is 2 million people. All right. So then we have international relations and trade. Now, where is that one? So over that one, we have foreign affairs, ECOWAS and the states, or ECOWAS and local government, public administration and state protocol, transport and communication, and trade. All right. So these 5 ministries fall under the super ministry of international relations and national cohesion. Actually, that's what I call national cohesion. And the 5th one is integrated and national development. Is that what I said? Actually, it's natural resources and integrated development. natural resources, and under that one we have environment and mining, agriculture and fisheries, oil and energy, science, technology and industries, and infrastructure. Okay, so this is natural resources and integrated development. Infrastructure integrates everything. All right, so these are the 5 sector ministries under the Smart Ministry of Natural Resources and Integrated Development. Again, because they're all related, if one minister is not around, it doesn't need a deputy. One of them will act until they can, because they are all very related. So that's how you try and cut costs whilst you are actually augmenting efficiency. You are not cutting costs at the expense of efficiency, but you're actually cutting costs to augment efficiency, because you are cutting out duplication and triplication of work because of the way the ministries are reorganized into super ministries. Oh, there's one part I didn't talk about: capacity building.
Okay.
And that's actually under ECOFED. You see, under ECOFED, each state will have a premier and a parliament, and a premier and 6 commissioners, or like mini ministers. So they are going to learn about executive duties at the state level.
So isn't all of this I'm just going through, isn't all of this also under ECOFED?
No, but all this under Afremocracy. ECOFED is not under Afremocracy.
Yes.
Okay. But I'm saying that by the nature of ECOFED is also under Afremocracy, and that's how the cabinet will like. You have to have a capacity convergence by bringing people from other parties through a certain method. You also have capacity building by getting people to go through the state system to get experience from there as premiers, as ministers, so that when they have their CV, because there will be eligibility. You know, also advice to have leaders over 10, over 50, over 100, over 1,000. So take it that at the state level, you are a leader of over 100. You show your competence through the work you do there, and that's how you experience, and that's how you build your capacity. So once you are talking of development, meritocracy, capacity convergence, and capacity building.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Nii. Let's go straight into the comments here. Okay, Shika, she said, in our very ethnocentric environment, the concept of meritocracy becomes very difficult.
No. No. You see, that's like I said before, we're going to have eligibility selection criteria. That's not going to be said by me alone, but it's going to be said by probably an electoral college. Okay. So everything is put out there, and at the end of every elections, if your region, the region where your ethnic group is 10% of the electorate, well, they will get 2 ministerial positions. All right. Now, the 2 ministers will have to meet the selection criteria. You're not picking any 2 people just to come and play. No. There's a selection criteria for people. It's not everybody who can go and play Barcelona, or not everybody who can go and play Liverpool. They have their just for your inclusion. All right. So we have that system in place. If your region, for instance, gets 50% of the vote, you have 3 ministerial positions, and they have to meet the selection criteria to be a minister. You have to be this, you have to be that, like Jethro advised Moses, and like Paul instructed Timothy. It's a good thing to want to serve, but Paul said it's a good thing to desire to be a bishop, but a bishop must be.
Yes, qualifiers, yeah.
Yes. You just don't do it anyhow. So the ethnocentricity can be a problem, but not in this way. By the way, we're fixing that ethnocentricity problem by what I said before, proportionate regional representation in cabinet.
Okay. So next one here again from Shika. She says, it's very important to remove the discretion from the exercise of power in Ghana and build checks and balances into the system.
That's exactly what we're trying to do. Thank you very much. I think you speak English better than me. Is that correct?
Me?
So no, the one who wrote that thing. So probably she's putting a better English than I probably could imagine.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's the whole idea. We have to have a prescriptive constitution. It's too discretionary. Yeah.
Okay. There was one from Ebenezer started saying, couldn't the executive, but I don't know what that refers to. So I'm just waiting for him to respond to couldn't the executive what? I'm not quite sure what he's referring to there.
What's there? I can't see it.
Yeah, he just says it here. It just says, couldn't the executive, but he didn't complete the statement.
Okay.
Yes, I'm just waiting for him to get back to me for saying what the rest of it is. Apart from that, that's all the comments. The other one here is Shika mentioned, good thing you qualified it with largely because not only the youth go to school.
Yeah, I know there are some adults, what do you call them? Adult education. Yeah, we encourage that one too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We encourage that one too. So, largely the youth, yeah, but we encourage adult education.
So just so I can figure out how is adults supported in Ghana if they're going to education late? How are they supported there? Is it different from how they do over here?
Oh yeah, they are not supported in Ghana. You have to go on your own.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I've never known of any support. Right. They have a different admission criteria. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
Once you are in it. If they pay fees, you pay yourself. Yeah, government is not interested.
So roughly how many adults in education in Ghana? Do you have those figures at all or no?
No, I don't. But
okay.
It depends because they are not into every course. They are usually in the liberal arts.
Mm-hmm.
They are usually in the liberal arts and few social science like sociology and stuff like that, and social work. Yeah. So, and probably law.
Okay, interesting.
Before they will go and do law. So, yeah, a few of them, but I wouldn't say it's even 2%. I don't know, but I don't think it's big. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, those are all of the comments there, Dr. Nii, for you. Yeah, those are all those there. No questions. Typically tends to be comments people make, but there's no questions. No questions.
All right. Well, I thank them very much.
Yeah.
For appearing and commenting.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll meet next week again.
Yes.
God willing.
We will do.
Yeah.
We'll do. So once again, thank you everybody for joining us. As I've said, please feel free to connect with Dr. Nii on his social media. You can find a list of the social media sites he's connected with in the description box underneath the YouTube video. So that's it from us. Thank you once again. Thank you, Dr. Nii, for outlining your vision. We much appreciate your wisdom and the time you've taken to really research all of these things. Much appreciated.
Yeah, so most welcome.
No problem. That's it, everybody. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.